Hey, what's up, Hamza? Tilt the screen down. Just getting a couple of things, getting the last couple of things ready. Apologies about being late. I see Fuzz is in the building. What's up, Fuzz? I can't hear me. Can you hear me now, Hamza? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna get this started in a second. Just gotta get a couple things ready. Glad you could join me. You too, Fuzz. Miss you, brother. Look forward to getting you back. But let me go on ahead and get this. Lex Friedman is too vaxxed. Yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit about that interview. I got a lot of stuff in here that I wanted to go into. A video that I showed on the political matrix that I have on this channel. I'm probably going to show more of that and do some commentary on it. But in the meantime, in between time, let's go on ahead and get this show kicked off. Yeah, I got some commentary definitely on Lex Friedman, but hold that until I get it ready. So let's start it. Let me double check. All right, cool.
I ain't really been in the mood for fake news. Are you a op or a op? Can't choose, you fake too. Or a hockey dash my force field, I can't bruise. The most high, put my feet on the gas, I can't cruise. Praise the most high, feet on the grass, I can't lose. Stick to the plan like we building a house, now make room. You ain't never seen me in this color like Beirut. People acting like repenting is something they can't do. Are you dumb or not? People choosing hell over heaven, but they know it high. Of course, you can find me in the present like I know the spot. He gave me these words with a blessing, I'ma pour it out. People seeing water with my breath is yeah, I flow a lot. Holy Spirit shining in the dark like you control the tide. People out here thinking it's a game, but you control the fry. If you thinking what I'm saying is lame, I can't socialize for now, and I'm just gonna stay in my lane like I'm motorized. What you thought? I should dumb it down to maintain. You going off, the devil turning up, so I am too. No going soft. Every scripture in that Bible a sword. This is a war. What you thought? An Naviel gon' help you see clear, just like the frost. The Most High speaks, but they don't fear him. When he talk, you don't want to hear them words, don't know you. So depart, repent. Yeah.
Do good. It's that good place in Zion. Build up the walls of Jerusalem. Oh, Father, hear me. Forgive me. And purge me from my sins and iniquities. Hallelujah. Oh, Father, we praise you. Hallelujah. In the last days, thy sons and daughters shall prophesy and call upon the name Yod-He, YE. Humble, let's meditate and take, cry aloud and spare not. Let's get it.
I'm watching that clock like we in the fourth quarter. Messiah is coming, it's almost the hour. We roll with 144,000. He blessed the elect and he's showing his power. And I've been fasting, so that mean I'm hungry. So that mean the demons I have to devour. Reading Ephesians, I don't fight with flesh and blood. I fight with principality and power. Please tell the evil, don't challenge me. My name is humble, I gotta be humble. I'm a descendant from the tribe of Benjamin. Don't wake the wolf up inside of me. Heaven to hell, bottom or top. I'll pick the top like a lottery. Get it? Lottery top pick. I'll pick the top like a lottery. Forget it. Israelite, yeah, my squad is the biggest. His nationality is not a religion. Pharisees trying to catch you slipping. They watch me like a museum exhibit. I don't have to fake the laws, I live it. You are living a facade, I get it. And you don't believe in God, you ignorant. Visionary don't fit your description, I'm gone.
Yod-He, YE, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob.
Yod, hey, YE. Humble, let's meditate. Intake, cry loud and spare not. Let's get it.
All right. Time to get the show started. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. We do so only by His grace and mercy. Hopefully, this can be an edifying class slash kind of a little bit of a rant. There's been a lot of people who have been kind of going at Kanye hard about this on both sides. And some of my commentary will echo sentiments which you've heard from different people out there. One thing I would say is I don't want everybody to so much take everything Kanye says with a grain of salt, or to throw everything he says away. One thing that I've seen is as I've seen mostly so-called Caucasian people, it's almost unison. Majority of them are against what Kanye is saying. Now, that's not all, of course, but that's what I'm seeing the biggest aspect. I see Yipper is there also. He says, I'm not staying long, Sleepy. I understand, just as long as you come back and catch it later. Hopefully I'm able to bring out some things which some different perspectives which you haven't heard other people bring out or mention. One of the first things that I wanted to say is let's bring up a scripture for you. I want to start this one first because I've heard a lot of people, especially people of his own complexion, own nation or whatever, happily throwing Kanye away and happily caping for the people who supposedly he's harming. So let's go on ahead and put the scripture up first. Leviticus 19 and 18. Actually, I could scroll up and do 19 and 17 first. Oh, wait a minute. Let me switch that view. Switch the view. Hamza says Ye is a hero. Yeah, I wanted to start with this one first. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in otherwise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. So therefore, I don't want to have any hate in my heart. Definitely, I don't have any hate in my heart for Kanye, and neither should none of you, especially if you're a Hebrew Israelite or even a Christian. You should not have any hate in your heart for Kanye and be wishing downfalls or bad upon him. That's one of the first things that I would say. And let's continue with Leviticus 19 and 18. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. So we need to be trying to embrace Kanye the best we can. I know some people are like, well, he went off with the Kardashians and he's with them, he's with the other people. We can't think like that. One thing we have to think like, Kanye is our brother. And even if we disagree with them, which many people are out there, everybody's not in the faith. They need to be able to disagree, but not be disagreeable. They need to be able to have understanding. Do I agree with him that about the whole fentanyl and all that? No, I don't really know about all that nonsense. From the way I saw it, the knee on the neck is what killed him. And a great point which Hassad brought up also, saying that whether it's him saying that he died by fentanyl or the knee to the neck, he's not saying that, oh, well, he was just taking drugs and he just died that way. He's not taking Chauvin out of the equation. What he is doing is he is injecting a whole lot of himself in it, as if this is all directed towards him. Let's see. Hamza says breaking news. Jesse Lee Peters is going to have Bill Maher on the show. That's going to be interesting. Ye has been better since he left Kim. I think that he should have left Kim anyway. If you look at the Kardashians as a whole, he might talk about their Christians. For one, he needs to be leaving Christianity also and start getting to what, let's hold it up. He needs to be getting into what this is really talking about instead of what he has been on. Because he's this, and this is why I say, should not suffer sin upon their brother and should be rebuking him also. Where he's going wrong and saying a bunch of crazy stuff. And what I mean by crazy stuff is I'm sitting up there listening to the interview and I'm having to Google half of the people he's talking about. He needs to understand everybody don't know all the people who are in your circle. Everybody is not in hip hop culture. And you got to remember, when you are on these large platforms, you are not only speaking to the hip hop audience, you are speaking to the whole entire world. And so can we please just have some linear thoughts out of you for once, Kanye? I mean, I've had to listen to him over and over and over to try to understand and follow even the line of logic. Now, don't get me wrong. He's saying some good stuff in there. He's saying some off the wall stuff in there. When he's talking about, when I see George Floyd, it reminds me of Virgil. Okay. A lot of us don't know who the hell Virgil is or care who Virgil is. A lot of times when you're talking all this stuff about you and Kim, dude, your personal business, your marriage life, that's all you. Trying to get the whole community to cape for you and do all this for one. We don't travel in the same circles as you. I don't see celebrities on a regular basis. I don't see what's his name? Pete Davidson. So even if I wanted to follow what you're saying and approach him or do whatever, I'm not in your circles. And many of us are not and never will be in your circles. That's one. That is your business that you need to handle. Two, Kanye, I feel like he needs to stay on a point and just kind of explain that out. And then we can kind of hear what he's talking about. What was that Yipper said up there? Said Kanye made statements about everyone, including women in his own race, but that wasn't the line. Exactly. And that's what brings us to the issue of most of this. If you look, there has been a history of entertainers who have constantly been called so-called anti-Semitic. And I mean, anybody you look at, you can look up and start naming all kinds of people and you'll start seeing a reoccurring thing. Why are they continuously calling all these people anti-Semitic? Why? And also, here's something which, for me, takes a whole lot of credibility away from the whole anti-Semitic argument in general. How many times have I heard Jewish people make the same arguments and claims? And then I'll even hear Jewish people call them, their own people, anti-Semitic. How does that make any fucking sense? Because it doesn't make any sense. And it's something that's being used often. Let's see. I agree. I think they should leave them damn Kardashians alone. So I know Boyce Watkins is trying to contact Ye to keep him in order. The thing about Kanye is, and here's something, somebody was brought up Lex earlier, Lex Friedman. I honestly wish Kanye would have took Lex's advice, because Lex don't even realize what he was saying. He said, well, Kanye, why don't you just call out their names? Well, if he start calling out the names, then you'll start seeing a serial problem with the people and the fact that they are of Jewish nationality. That's what you're going to start seeing. So yeah, so what if he says the Jews, or he names which Jewish person who's doing it? You're going to see a concerted problem that's going, and it's not just Kanye who's facing it. It's a concerted thing throughout the industry. What I noticed, what Lex was doing is Lex was sitting up there and he was being patient. He was allowing Kanye to rant, which this is good, but he stayed on his point. His whole point was, you could tell in his body language, he didn't like what Kanye said about about Jewish people controlling Hollywood and having power. Yeah, they will call him self-hating Jew, like Norman Finkelstein. Yeah, exactly. I got some. Let me see. Do I got it up? Yeah. Hold on. Let me pull up this article, because when Jewish people come out and they say certain things, and they will admit what other people are saying, but then they turn around and say, "Oh, you're being anti-Semitic." How, when your own people are sitting here saying and confirming what people are saying? Also, in the chat, I'm gonna go to this article real quick, but while I read this article, I want you all to weigh in, because I've been kind of asking this question around to more people, and I'm thinking about doing a poll. Without looking it up, what is the percentage of Jewish population in America? Because this is paramount into looking at some of these things that we're talking about. What is the percentage? Because I know what the percentage is, but I've been hearing what people think it is, and it blows me away how far off people are in what they think it is versus the actual reality. Because when you here, I'll just go to this article real quick. There it is. So let's flip that. All right. Okay, cool. It looks good on the screen. Let's read some. Says, this is by Joel Stein. Hold on a second. Let's look up who Joel Stein is. This was written in 2008. So keep this in mind, because what will happen is it was fine for somebody to say this at a certain time, but now all of a sudden, oh, it's not all right to be said. Joel Stein, LA Times. So what it says here, American journalists. Let's just go down and look. Early life. Stein grew up in Edison, New Jersey, the son of a salesman. He is Jewish. Stein attended J.P. Stevens High School, where he was a writer and editor for the Hawkeye. Eventually went to Stanford, and he became a journalist. So that's a little background on who we're talking about here. He says, I have never been so upset by a poll in my life. Only 22% of Americans now believe the movie and television industry are pretty much run by Jews. Let me read that again. This is what Joel Stein said in 2008. I don't know what his feelings are now, but he says only 22% of Americans now believe the movie and television industry are pretty much run by Jews, down from nearly 50% in 1964. So in 1964, 50% of the population believed that. By the time 2008 came, only 22% believed that. This also needs to be kept in context with where this cancel culture is and why Kanye is apologies, yay. And I'm trying to get used to this because the media has consistently called him Kanye. People like me didn't even know he changed his name. I thought when I was hearing Ye that was a nickname. I didn't realize that this guy really changed his name to just Ye. But this says the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, which released the poll results last month, sees these numbers a victory against stereotyping. Actually, it just shows how dumb America has gotten. This is Joel Stein's words. This is all Joel Stein, not me. It says, actually, it just shows how dumb America has gotten. Jews totally run Hollywood, according to Joel Stein. How deeply Jewish is Hollywood? When the studio chiefs took out a full-page ad in the Los Angeles Times a few weeks ago to demand that the Screen Actors Guild settle this contract, the open letter was signed by News Corp president Peter Chernin, Jewish, Paramount Pictures chairman Brad Gray, Jewish, Walt Disney co-chief executive producer Robert Iger, Jewish, Sony Pictures chairman Michael Linton. He says, surprise Dutch Jew. Warner Brothers Chairman Barry Meyer, Jewish, CBS Corp Chief Executive Leslie Moonves. So he says, this is his words, so Jewish his great uncle was the first prime minister of Israel. MGM Chairman Harry Sloan, Jewish, and NBC Universal Chief Executive Jeff Zucker, mega Jewish, according to him. This was before the this is before, what is his name? Harvey Weinstein and his brother. Well, Harvey Weinstein got in trouble, but before him, they had all this stuff going on about the Me Too movement and the casting couches. Says if either of the Weinstein brothers had signed, this group would have not only the power to shut down all film production, but to form a Mayan with enough Fiji water on hand to fill a mikvah, which I don't even know what the heck that is. But what this dude is telling you is, no, this is not some kind of, this is literally showing you the heads of most of the major corporations in America. We see News Corp here. We see Paramount Pictures, which a lot of our favorite movies are done by. We see Walt Disney Co., which a lot of our favorite movies are. See what I'm saying is, it's not like, oh, well, you know, it's a handful here. No, the major influences and movies that we see, CBS is here. MGM, which stands for Metro Goldwyn Mayer, which Goldwyn Mayer, those are two Jewish families who started MGM. You know, guys, when you see the little lion which roars at the beginning of the movies, that's MGM. The big giant casino, which you see in Las Vegas, that's MGM. And NBC Universal, which NBC, MSNBC, yes, this is the same people. And so Weinstein is trying to remember which movies that they have, but I don't know. You guys can chime in if you guys know. It said the person they were yelling at in the ad was SAG president Alan Rosenberg. Take a guess. The scathing rebuttal to the ad was written by entertainment super agent Ari Emanuel, Jew with Israeli parents, on the Huffington Post, which is owned by Ariana Huffington, not Jewish and has never worked in Hollywood. The Jews are so dominant, I had to scour the trace to come up with 6 Gentiles in high positions at entertainment companies. When I called them to talk about their incredible advancement, 5 of them refused to talk to me, apparently out of fear of insulting Jews. The 6th, AMC president Charlie Collier, turned out to be Jewish. Stein also says, as a proud Jew, I want America to know about our accomplishments. Yes, we control Hollywood. Without us, you'd be flipping between 700 Club and Davy and Goliath on TV all day. So he's saying literally the Jewish people have so much power that you wouldn't be watching anything else if it wasn't for Jewish people. So if this right here is admitted and known, I don't get how hey Vicky, I see you in there. I don't get how, if this is a known fact, this is literally in the LA Times, written in 2008. You're going to tell me people like Lex Friedman don't know this information? You're going to tell me Michael Rappaport, which has been in movies for like 30 years, does not know this stuff? It's not about, here's the thing. It's not about needing to call up and sending a text to all the different Jewish people to get on accord. It's like this. If a corporation was owned by mostly black people and you heard one person spouting a lot of things which came across to the majority black owned industry as racist or as offensive towards those black people, they would all crack down. The same thing if it was Arab run, the same thing if it was anything run. And when you try to sit here and what can easily be looked up and researched, it's not hard to show this information. And you try to say that, no, everybody else is just we're just all stupid. And you are a liar. That's what you are. People like Lex Friedman, you're a liar. Because there's no way you can't look up any of this information. And then he said, he tried to put it like, oh well, Kanye, well maybe you're only talking about like in your circles in Hollywood. It's not just Hollywood. Because right there they just showed not only is it movies, but it's our news also. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that news and entertainment influence a lot of the way that people view things in the world. You look at how rap music and how certain stereotypes even get passed around the world in the first place. It is from movies. And if you have a big control in movies, which literally billions of people see, you do have a lot of power in influencing how people view and see things. Let me pull up because I always try to tell people about this video, which I did about a year ago, and a lot of people don't take me up on it apparently because the view count is only at like 37 views, which it should definitely be higher than this. Let me back. Why is this not backing up? Because it's only a 20-minute video. And it goes into a lot of information. Close that and find the open window to pull this up. What do I have?
Did you know that
Okay, so hold on one second.
you can make a full-time income from YouTube without ever trying?
Let me pull this up. This video, which I did about a year ago, is called, what is it called? Let's see. Uploads. Videos. Let's click it. And if you need me to put the link in the description so you guys can find it easier, all you got to do is scroll or just go to this channel and scroll down. It was, okay, there it is. It was done a year ago. It's called Jewish Celebrities.
Hello, this is...
Hold on, so let me share it on the screen. Because this evidence, I mean, it's pretty clear to see this. And I mean, I've had, well, that's right, I got that queued up. Let me pull up one other thing I wanted to show. Because I just wanted to get into this part, and then when I'm laying out all this information, keep all this stuff in mind when I start going to some scriptures later on to kind of back up what I'm talking about. Because this opens up it opens up a lot of can of worms. And I understand why certain people would want to run from this information or run from even having this conversation. Let's see, what was it called? Let's back it up. Yeah, just find the title of this article. That's what it's called. Because this article here, I'm not sure who did it, but it was done in 2013. It is called, actually, let me just put it on the screen because I just went into that, and that article went into a bunch of things, which I really don't even mind going back into the article in a second, but let's put this up here so you all can see it. I'm gonna try to hit as many topics as I can and keep this going, so I won't keep you all here too long. And for anybody who wants to come and check this out later, and I'll see the daunting length on it and run away from it. All right. So let's make sure that, okay, it's on the screen. You guys see this chart here? You want to know what this chart is? Let's read what it says. Now, let me make it a little bigger. All right. Says who controls your mind? Because obviously the internet, if you're watching it, it is having an influence on you. This list down here on the side, Universal. Now, let's give you guys a guide to what this says, what these things are talking about. Green, it says goy, which goy just means non-Jewish. And it has non-white. So the people in blue are the people who are not Jewish or not white. As you can see here, what do we have? In fact, let's count this real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. Okay, let's do a little quick math. This is given a list of 47 major companies. So 47 times 5, so we can just get a rough ballpark of how many people are even on this list. And what does this break down to? 47 times 5. It's just 235 people on this listing. Of non-white on this listing, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of 235 are non-white on this list. That's the first thing that should jump out at most people. Let me say that again. 9 out of 235 are non-white. The green is supposedly the non-Jewish white people. This first one is Universal Studios. Right here we see, now granted, this is 2013. Ronald Meyer, James Shamus, Carl Lamy, Ronald Meyer, Vice Presidents NA, Chairman Adam Fogelson, and the next one, 20th Century Fox, ABC, CBS, CNN. We already talked about them earlier. Jeff Zucker, Phil Kent, Ted Turner, Philip Kent, Ken Joles, Eric Schmidt, DreamWorks, Warner Brothers, ESPN Sport, Fox News, which Fox News is the only one which you see across the board. Now, granted, this is definitely old because Roger Ailes, I believe, has definitely passed away. It has Roger Ailes, president, CEO, founder, Roger Ailes, Rupert Murdoch, Brian Lewis, vice president, and then chairman was Rupert Murdoch, which I believe he still might be. Washington Post, MGM, MTV Music, almost all the way across. Stephanie Friedman, Tom Preston, Summer Rothstein, Lee Coleman, and Bill Rohde. USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Comedy Central, NBC, New York Times, Google, which it's not giving you a president or an owner, but you see Larry Page and Sergey Brin. And and Eric Schmidt also, which I believe I just saw Eric Schmidt somewhere else on this thing. Reuters, The Atlantic, Disney, ABC Kids and Family, YouTube, which YouTube has Larry Page there also. Google, I mean, Los Angeles Time, Discovery, Paramount, Facebook, Huffington Post, Yahoo, Marvel, Hulu, Cosmopolitan, Time Inc., Touchstone, Associated Press, Miramax Films. Oh, that's right. That's what the Weinsteins on Miramax. HBO, Pixar, New York Post, Imagine Entertainment, Lucas Art, Reader Digest, MSNBC, DreamWorks, Admin, and Comcast, in which they put George Lucas on here, which this is not correct. George Lucas is Jewish also. So I just wanted to throw that out there so that we can be able to look at it. So let me go back and see what the poll says. Yes, those colors tell the story. I mean, you can look at this stuff in actual evidence. You don't have to even say any kind of crazy stuff. This is the reason why. Part of me, I can't confirm this or deny it. I mean, I can't confirm this, but part of me feels like Kanye might even be controlled opposition. They know that certain things which he's talking about has started to grow on a certain level, seeking primarily of Hebrew Israelism. And they are trying to get ahead of it. So what better way to do it? Put somebody out there which the media does not take serious so it can be mocked as a joke. But I believe that, in the end, the Most High will have the last laugh, because I think because of this overreaction to it, it's brought attention to, the fact of so-called Black people being Hebrew Israelites. And they always say, how the truth starts out. People start off mocking it and then getting angry. And then after a while, they accept it. And it's the same thing which happened with Israel when they start doubting certain communities, which would say that they were Jewish. Now, I reject that whole terminology and all that, and getting into the philosophies and stuff like that. But if you talk to rabbis, you're going to hear one of two things. Let me put the map down for a minute. You're going to hear one of two things. Speaking with actual rabbis, you're going to hear, well, the Jews were originally Black, and then they went to Europe, and then they lost their complexion. You'll hear that. You'll hear that, oh, well, it's the mixing with European women that eventually changed the complexion of the Jews. Or you'll hear that, oh, well, this doesn't really, that doesn't really mean this, or this doesn't mean that. And then you'll hear some, they'll say, well, some of the people, like, if Israel literally recognizes Uganda as Jews, they recognize the Falashas, which are out of Kenya, as Jewish. Now, I have my disagreements with some of that stuff, but they can't sit there and say in one breath, yeah, these Black people over here are Jews, but you Black people in America, it's impossible you can be Jews. You can't make that statement at the same damn time. Also, if you read through scriptures over and over and over and over, let's say that the Israelites started out as white. Let's say they were as pale as can be. If you read the scriptures, it talks about them marrying Hamitic people, Africans, over and over and over and over. So how could you marry Africans over and over and over and over and not have any kind of African phenotype? How would that just completely go away? Why would it be so ridiculous that other people are claiming that they are, in fact, Jews? Why? And what I say is that goes into a level of supremacy, white supremacy, because it can't be possible that Black people could be Jews. Can't be at all. And Vicky says those colors tell the truth. I knew, but seeing the chart, it really hits you. Yipper is correct. The percentage is 2% in America. So when you start looking at the numbers, I mean, that it's 2% of the population. That is smaller than the Native American population. So, but How often do you see Native Americans in place of power? How often do you see Native Americans really controlling much of anything? You don't. But literally, once you get to Hollywood, you see numbers like 50 and 60 and 70% of control being Jewish. Statistically, that does not add up unless a couple of things are going on. Unless there's a form of cronyism going on, unless there, oh, I see Mr. Streets in there. What's up, Mr. Streets? I see here goes. Just Google who owns Sketcher, a dude named Greenberg. Then I clicked on the Google images and it's a pic of him with exactly. When they start saying, oh, we don't get on some kind of email chain together, you don't have to. You know why? Do you know the very person who owns this? Well, I'm not sure if she still owns it or if she's just a CEO. But in fact, let me pull her up. Actually, she's in the I'll show her in the video. But the woman who is either the CEO or president of YouTube, her sister owns 23andMe. You don't think if you pissed off the sister who worked at 23andMe that wouldn't affect you over at YouTube? You don't think if this person's cousin works right over there that might not get back to them and have an issue? It's not complicated to figure out. Because if you look throughout Hollywood, a lot of these people, which you see in Hollywood, their father was an actor, their mom was maybe a director, their brother was uncle was a writer. A lot of these people, for instance, one of the people which I literally just found out like last week was Jewish, Jamie Lee Curtis. Her father was Tony Curtis, actor. Do you not see that? Boom, she has a big career. Her father had a big career. Kirk Douglas, Michael Douglas. You guys not seeing what's going on? And what's been going on since the beginning of Hollywood, there has been a certain level of cronyism and nepotism that has kept, and that's the reason why it cracks me up thinking back to Black Lives Matter movement when they were saying, well, something that you guys can do to try to help out is start promoting more minority people into these positions to kind of help balance out and show that Black lives do actually matter. But we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that. Yeah, Hamza, they'll never let natives be powerful, and they're never going to let Black people be powerful either. Anybody who thinks, oh, well, Kanye got billions. If you guys haven't heard lately, Forbes has just downgraded him out of billionaire status. So you can make a tweet, have a couple of interviews that people get pissed off at, and instantly drop from, at the low end, a network of 2 to 3 billion, on the high end up to 11 billion. Just like that. Couple of words, boom, your money's gone. That should be kind of jarring that can happen, and how fast your money can be gone. Yipper says, how much do you see Native Americans anywhere? Not where I am. Exactly. You don't, even though there are a higher population of Jewish people. It's just statistically, I'm not saying everywhere, but statistically, Jewish people happen to live in the major cities. And you happen to see them predominantly in prominent positions. Yipper says, I think Jews who like capitalism and white supremacy are the goalies for the system. Again, Norman will not be a part of that circle. Exactly, but here's something which a lot of people don't realize, because I heard somebody try to say, oh, well, you're conflating Jewish and Zionism. No, we're not. No, we're not. Zionists do help out with this whole agenda. But as I just showed you, a lot of these people, even in Hollywood, do not keep any kind of customs laws. Many of them do not even hold on to any kind of Zionism. Many of them are not even the Zionists. So you can't say that, oh, well, in Hollywood it's because they're all Zionists. No, they're not. There's many white non-Jewish people who are Zionists, far more white non-Jewish, the whole evangelicals that you guys hear about in the Republican Party. Many of them are Zionists. So that has to be put in. Hey, when you get a second, look up who owns National Amusement, the parent company, BET and TV. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I was here. I'll put that back up so you can see what I had on the screen. Here it goes. Oh shoot, I dropped it out. Let's put that back on the screen. Yeah, right here. Say I'll leave this up for a little bit so that way you can go on ahead and look into it. Joe, yeah, Joe said if there was not a nation of Israel, he would have had to create one. And let's see, as you say, the response to Ye has served them well. Well, and I feel like this overreaction, which they have done, it tells a huge story. Mr. Street says Russell Simmons said it was good that brands dropped Kanye over anti-Semitism to allow rapper designer a chance to move on up. Yeah, move on up if you play the game. If you play the game. Think about it. How many conscious rappers that we know of that get nowhere in the system? If you want to talk about I kill my brother, I fuck my boy's wife, I do all this other stuff, I will kill another nigga. You want to do all that? Yes, the record company will give you a deal in a hot minute and keep your song on replay to enforce drug culture. They'll do that. I'm trying to be careful with because I want to pull up some videos, but I know how quick they look for. Oh, well, copyright. That's an excuse for us to yank it down. And so I'm trying to do a lot of this without bringing up some videos, but let me. I might want to check that one Lazy Bone video. Because Lazy Bone was going into something.
You were here because you have a question.
Wrong screen. Lazy Bone was bringing up something, and he was making some very, very interesting points. I just want to see if it's not from got to be careful the sites you go to. Because, man, lately they've been going after me as far as these copyright strikes. Granted, I haven't actually gotten any strikes in a while, but like last Saturday, they yanked my video down. But I had to go in and go cut a bunch of things out. But it's weird. I cut out, they never tell you what to cut out and what not to cut out. So I just cut out a little bit and hoped that was going to work. And I guess it was able to do that. Another thing is they're not even sending me emails anymore when they're taking my stuff down. But it's just the fact of I double check because I've had this kind of stuff happen all the time. Crazy Bone, what was it? Because if I can't find it, I'll just tell you what he was saying. Yeah, there it is. Ali G reacts. I wonder if this will give me a copyright or not. Let me see if I can find it somewhere else on a lower platform. Okay, this only has like 4,000 views. This one might work. Ooh, I won't play the whole thing. But let's see if I can. Crazy Bone drops the real. No, that's not what I want. This is what I'll do. I'll put the video up on the screen. This is what I'll do. I won't play it, but I will put it on the screen so you can see one of these titles. They're deleting hip hop archives from the internet. I wouldn't be surprised because some of these rappers are telling certain things now. Now I'll put it full screen that way you all can read what it says in that Chiron. Or I guess that's the best I can put it. Do you guys see what this says here? Or I'll read it out. what it says, and I do advise looking up this interview. Um, Crazy Bone exposes the music industry's sadistic plot. I'm not afraid of telling the truth. The music industry is invested in putting us in prison. Crazy Bone. Um, what he says in this interview, yeah, I don't see any of these small enough I want to take a chance on. Um, but what he talks about in the interview is he said that a lot of high profile rappers, he didn't drop names, that were invited to this big party by their executives that sent out information for them to come. Um, and they came and they were telling them that it's an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, that you got to sign this. And once they sign it, they can't talk about the contents of that meeting. Or they can face lawsuits, being dropped from the label, all kind of things. So what was talked about in there was how the music industry was going to change things up, how it was going to go from more of the kind of storytelling and song play, which you had before, to gangster rap. That also is a change, which what's his name, Exatención, when he goes into talking about how they change and play with frequencies, um, and how frequencies in music can have an impact on you to make you feel certain ways. And so you put people into a certain community, you drop drugs into a community, you leave poverty in a community, and then you put music out there that tells them to break the law to get ahead, and at the same time kill their brothers and turn their women in promiscuous. We'll say that, being careful. Um, when y'all get a chance, check out Dave Chappelle Tells the Behind the Scenes Story of Kanye West. Okay, I'll look at it. K-Bone on it. Sad but true. He's on the list. Praying for that brother. Yeah, I mean, he might be in the same category as a Coolio. You guys know what I'm saying there. But this is what they're doing, and that's the reason why certain artists get promoted higher. I mean, even a lot of these, what's his name, like Cardi B and Meg The Stallion and all that, come out with these songs like WAP and telling women to just be slutty and throw yourself around and let dudes run up all in you and all that. And you find out that these women are all in committed relationships and not doing any of that stuff. But this is the message which they're putting out to the community. I tell you all to look at the interview from Leor Cohen when he's on the Breakfast Club, and he's literally talking about, well, I know that we're kind of exploiting the community, but he didn't really have an answer. DJ Envy kind of tripped him up. And not that I think DJ Envy or Charlamagne, any of them, I think that they're in that bootlicking class also. But what I'm saying is, you can't. Let me pull up a scripture real quick. What did I have? Which one did I trying to remember. What was I? Oh, that's what it was. Let me pull. Oh, didn't mean to do that. So let's get back into the Blue Letter Bible. Share. And what was it? Let's say it's Matthew. Is it Matthew? Gotta look that up. Apologies, drawing a little mental break, mental blank there for a moment. What was it? I was right. Matthew 6. So This is the problem that most of them are having in the hip hop industry right now. Here is the problem they are having. I'll start with Matthew 6:20. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. Which this is what's happening with Kanye right now. Thieves are stealing his wealth. Now, granted, he got it shady. I mean, he got it by you roll around in the mud. You guys can furnish those phrases. Matthew 6:21. For where your treasure is, there will be your heart also. Matthew 6:22. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But in thine evil, but in thy eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? For no man, 6:24, here's the point I'm coming to. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. And this is what a lot of people in the hip hop industry are doing. They're trying to serve God and they're trying to make money at the same time. That's the reason why you have people like Ice Cube is like, oh, yo, leave me out of this. I done already got myself fried up messing with them. Don't bring me into it. This is the reason why you have a lot of those who you know for a fact know what Kanye is talking about, got all kind of stories of their own, all sit in these boardrooms and hear this stuff and see what's going on. And yet they sit there anyway because they're worried about losing money. Sounds like the two parties. Yeah. Let's see. Here goes. Says they didn't drop him when he said slavery was a choice, but the minute he says the owners suddenly, as a slippery slope, hollow cast, shaking my head. Well, here's the interesting thing about it. Here, let me. You know what? While we're there, let's go to here. Let's go here. Because in the secular world, what he's saying doesn't make sense. It sounds like he's really saying, yeah, like he doesn't get it, like black people really sold themselves into slavery. And shout out to Hassad for making this thing. I guess that's the wrong one. I got a misspell in there, and I just followed it anyway. Let's go. Do that again. Deuteronomy 28. Let's skip down to, where is it? What am I looking for? But it shall come to pass, this is Deuteronomy 28:15, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. What are these curses we're talking about? What are the curses which are going to be on the Israelites? For this one, there's many of them here, but let's skip to the one which is in question. Slavery being a choice. Said, if you don't hearken, these curses are going to be upon you. Here's one of the curses. Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt not see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Telling you, slavery was a choice. When you chose to not listen to your God, you ran yourself into slavery because you didn't listen. But for those in the secular world, they don't know what he's talking about when he's saying stuff like that. Because the Israelites would be in captivity because they didn't listen to the Father. Mr. Street says, I'm looking at a Trojan horse tactical move. KW might be doing reconnaissance for information to put out there. What I think he's doing is he's trying to discredit a movement. Because I would pull up the interview, but he literally says something about trying to rebuild up the Tower of Babel, and we're all the same, and building one place where everybody. Let's go back to the Tower of Babel. Just trying to remember, what was it? Genesis what? Tower of Babel 11. That's what we need. So let's go into the Tower of Babel. Because when he was saying this, I was like, oh, wait a minute. What are you talking about? This is the reason why I feel like they send him in there. And they don't send Kanye in there while he's wearing nice clothes. Kanye is literally dressed like a bum right now. He's literally dressed like a bum. And he's jumping all over the place, talking random different stuff. And at certain points, acting extremely childish for a 45-year-old man. What that tells me more than likely is this is just another fold that's going on. People are saying, but he lost all his money. He lost his endorsements and all that. That's what you're being told. That's what you're being told. So, Genesis 11:1, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime, they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach into heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad among the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men buildeth. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they began to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Meaning, not that they imagine to do good stuff, meaning they're going to do a lot of bad stuff. And go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad among thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore, this is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thenceforth did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. So when Kanye is talking about this one world utopia, the Bible preaches against that. Now, it doesn't preach for war. It's not telling everybody that you need to be warring against each other. That's not what it's saying. But what it's saying is it preaches against this one world mentality. This one world, everybody needs to be able to have their other stuff, just like it talks about the divine council when he parted the lands. And if you go back into older texts into the Hebrew, you start noticing that it's not just talking about parting their lands. It's talking about putting supreme deities over each of these different nations and giving different nations their gods. Yes, do we teach that the Most High created all? Yes, we do. But he also did appoint different people over different nations. And he said, Israel is my portion. Let's see. they're using someone with mental illness, which is on a whole nother level too. Well, he doesn't have mental illness. What it is he's being attacked at a bunch of different angles. And so he's being leveraged to act this way. Also, what was it? The brother Tyrese said. Tyrese was talking about some of these pharmaceuticals that they give people, and it makes them start bugging out and acting all crazy. It's the same thing which happened with Martin Lawrence when he was running around Hollywood with a gun. Here's something a lot of people don't know. The police department in Hollywood reports to the executives in Hollywood, meaning that, yes, they don't only like MGM and Universal and all that. They control the police too. And so when they start talking about they don't have this power and not, we're bullshit. Bullshit. I see what you're saying about the choice comment. I don't know if that's what he was saying though. Yeah, he's probably not saying that, but in actuality, we did have a choice. Now, maybe not us directly, our forefathers, which in certain other teachings, we start going into what is it? Not regeneration, and so in a certain reality, we are our ancestors. So in some iteration, we might have made this choice literally to not follow the Most High and put us in this very situation in our current incarnations. Hamza says, I think they are using Ye as controlled opposition and he doesn't know about it. I agree. I think that they're intentionally make things happen in his life to make him react certain ways. Because when they spend their time studying you, they can predict how you're going to react to things. For instance, if every time I come home and my AC is out, I'm going to call the power company and start cussing people out for an hour. If you know that, you can prompt me to do that behavior by causing certain things to happen to provoke a reaction. It's the same thing which is done with the media when they show certain news stories over other news stories. It's a reason why they promote gang violence all the time on TV. Those kind of things are put out there to propagate a narrative. There's all kind of crime that's happening all over the place, but why do you spend the time on the news propagating that black and brown people are out there killing everybody and it's super dangerous? When statistically, the people who live closest to you are who normally kills you. So if you live in a black neighborhood, you're most likely going to be killed by a black person. And if you're in a brown neighborhood, the same. If you're in a white neighborhood, the same. That's normally the people who are going to kill you the most. So the whole idea of black on black violence is something generated by the media to cause extra divisions, but divisions in a negative light, not just like, well, for instance, let's take sports, for instance. I'm wearing a Chiefs hat. I'm a Chiefs fan, but I can sit there with, say, a Raiders fan, and we kind of go at it competitively, but we don't have to literally hate each other. It's the same thing with different nations. This nation has this custom, that nation has that custom, but they don't have to literally war against each other. And thus, some of the reasons why the recompense which the Messiah or Hamashiach is going to do is because nations did not follow that covenant of saying, okay, you're over there and I'm over there, and we're going to deal with each other respectfully. We're not going to go in and enlarge our borders and go in and take your land, which I just talked about taking your land. So let me pull that one up. Let me do this real quick because this is one of my favorite scriptures to bring up. Make sure I don't transpose the numbers. I do this often. It's 33. Skip down. Hold on a sec. Get it. I got it backwards. Numbers 35. 35, 33, is that it? There we go. That's the scripture I was looking for. All right, let's put it on the screen. All right. And I was talking about enlarging your borders and going into other people's land. Numbers 35 and 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that it sheddeth therein, but by the blood of him that sheddeth. When they're going in and colonizers are stealing other people's land and killing people for the land, and the genocide which happened all throughout this continent from the north tip of the Americas all the way to the bottom south of the Americas, this whole entire continent is defiled by the colonizers. And it's the same way into the land of Palestine, and in that whole Horn region. Let's see. When you speak the truth in the spotlight, you're labeled crazy. Always. You're always going to be. Yes, you've talked about this before. So when I hear that, I knew it wasn't based in scripture. I am learning. Good. Yeah. And if you have questions, please fire away any questions that you have, and I'll do my best to try to answer them with scripture. Vicky says, oh, wait a minute, streets. If he said BLM was a scam or not, they will do what they're doing today. Well, BLM is a scam and an op. And here's one reason why I say that Kanye possibly might be controlled opposition also. When you focus on George Soros only, when you're on that level, you know it's more than George Soros there. It's kind of like when Bernie Sanders says the millionaires and the billionaires. Motherfucker, you know who these billionaires are and millionaires, but you never say anybody's name. You'll just say Elon Musk. You'll throw out maybe a Bill Gates, but you don't go all the way through the laundry list of people that you could, and you know who these people are. So therefore, if you're not calling them out, you're covering. I thought he said he struggled being bipolar, but maybe he is being told. Yes, he was right after he had the exhaustion when they were telling him to stay on tour and keep going on tour and keep going on tour, and he went down with exhaustion. Then he came back up and they said, oh, you're bipolar. And so that's what I'm saying. They all will tell you that you're sick and then push drugs on you. Yeah, and he should have been evaluating his team. There should be no reason why you need to go fire a whole bunch of people and now hire black and brown people. You should have already been hiring them. In fact, you shouldn't even had the billions sitting there for them to be able to take them, because you should have already been spending that money and reinvested into your community. You can't turn around after you have not been on top of providing for people and then say, hey, I need y'all back now. I need help. Too many black celebrities do this. Too many black celebrities do this. You have the Bill Cosbys, the O.J. Simpsons. You know, whenever they all get in trouble, then they run back to the black community, because a lot of times the white community automatically presumes guilt before, anything. Because in the back of a lot of them's mind, they believe we're guilty anyway. Let's see. Right, Mr. Street, totally agree. He calls out names of the fashion industry. No, Kanye does call out some names in the fashion industry, but he doesn't go all the way in. He calls out names in the fashion industry of people he's dealing with. But yet he doesn't go into all of the people that he could be going into. I'll give you an example. I still never hear Kanye talk about Tommy Hilfiger. Tommy Hilfiger was the one who, back in the 90s, this is part of why, the moment I heard that, I've never worn another Tommy Hilfiger anything. And I've never bought anything. I can't say I've never worn. Maybe somebody's given me some socks or t-shirt, underwear, or something like that. But I will never spend a penny to Tommy Hilfiger after he was like, yeah, I didn't make my clothes for niggers to be wearing them. but he's able to uh, do what a week or so of apologies, and then everything goes and moves on. No problem. Nothing to see here. Um, no reinvesting those billions where they should be. And that's my point. You can go up to Wyoming, you can build all this land. Like I said this so many times. If all these billionaires, black billionaires, would pull their money together and go to a very lowly populated state, I don't care what it is, but Mississippi, if you want. If you want it warm, go to Mississippi. If you want it a little colder, you can go to Nebraska, Iowa, Wyoming, whatever. Take one of these areas, literally start building up towns, and throw money out there for black people to move there, build up businesses, and you can build a whole infrastructure, a new Black Wall Street. And that way you can start building banks and having opportunities outside of having to deal with some of these people who screw us over constantly. Um, Yep, I remember when Tommy Hilfiger said, "Yeah, I mean, a lot of us remember he promotes Louis Vuitton, and he spends his time talking about Virgil being the greatest this and the greatest that." Dude, we don't care about none of this stuff. And like I tell people, I don't follow hip hop news. Think it's a waste of time. It's mind numbing. Why do I want to pay attention to my people on World Star acting a fool and being an embarrassment? Why? I'd rather spend my time trying to research in a way where I can help, so I can shine a light and be a positive example or role model to my people to show that we can do more than buffoonery. But that reminds me of another scripture, buffoonery. Because here's ways you know that you're the actual Israelites. This is ways you should know you're an Israelite. Let me pull this up real quick. I think I had something else in Hosea I wanted to bring up too. In fact, I will, man, I think I'll start it there. Hosea 4 4. Yeah, I'll start it there. Oh, share screen. Hosea 4 and 4. Yet let no man strive nor reprove another, for thy people are as that strive with the priest. Therefore shalt thou fall in that day, and the prophet also shall fall with thee in the night, and I will destroy thy mother. Hosea 4 and 6, the point I'm going to. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. You cannot tell me that other nations do not look like the Lord is shining on them, not us. This is one of the curses, and this goes back to what we're talking about in Deuteronomy. And I'll go back to Deuteronomy again. Let's bring up some of these curses, because this is partially why we can't have a Black Wall Street. If we kept the curses 1 through 14, so we already know Israel didn't keep the curses, so we can already not even waste our time with the blessings. Let's just skip straight to the curses. Deuteronomy 28 and 16. Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field. Cursed shall thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall thy body. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, and the crease of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shall thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shall thou be when thou goest out. When thou goest out. The Lord shall send upon thee curses, vexation, and rebuke, and all thou settest thy hand unto do, until thou be destroyed, until thou perish quickly because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until they have consumed thee off the land, whither thou goest to possess it. Let's see. Let me skip to another one. Where's the one I really want? But all of these are curses that should be on the Israelites. Whoever says they're an Israelite, this shall be their fate. Even if you rise to the highest of heights, because some people are like, well, what about, what about somebody like LeBron? He's doing really well. What about Jay-Z? Even Daniel was doing great while majority of his people were still in captivity. You can have a couple people here and there that's doing well. That does not mean that they're even out of the woods just because they have some monetary wealth. They are still underneath someone else. Ooh, that's a good one. Deuteronomy 28:30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shall not gather the grapes thereof. What's another one? Deuteronomy 28:32. Tell me if this sounds familiar. That was just happening on the border, with people trying to find their kids, especially people who are coming in undocumented. Deuteronomy 28:32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. Is this not what Kanye is talking about not getting his kids back too? You see how the scriptures correlate still. Where's another one that I was looking for? The Lord shall bring thee and thy king which thou set over thee unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods of wood and stone. A lot of times we translate that wood and stone. That's the wood of Christianity, and that's the stone of Islam. A lot of our people are in Christianity and Islam and have not come back to being who they actually are, following the law, statutes, and commandments. No diss out there to any of my brothers in Christianity or Islam, but this is just what the scriptures tell us in the Torah. Here's another one. Deuteronomy 28:37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, a byword among all nations, whereas the Lord shall lead thee. Meaning, you should be in astonishment, like amazed, like look how these people are living. Not astonishment in a good way, in a bad way. People drive down to like ghettos and stuff like they're zoos. It don't matter if they're black or brown. They ride out to the reservations like we're zoo animals. Should be a proverb. Hey, you make sure you're going to get your stuff right so you don't end up like them. A byword. How many of us are called out of our names on a regular basis? Kanye, right now, by him changing his name to Ye and still being called Kanye, that's a byword. I mean, when we say Hebrew Israelites and they throw black Hebrew Israelites, well, I tell them all the time that predominantly the Hebrew Israelites in the Americas in this hemisphere are going to be black natives and Latinos, and you're going to have Israelites who are spread throughout all different nations around the world. So you're going to have some Israelites who are not going to look like the typical people, which we often talk about primarily, and we do it because we're in the proximity to talk to these people. But we're still going to be labeled as black Hebrew Israelites, even though that's not what our message is even representing. And a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee. How many times can a black person go to Korea? Some of those Korean people might have never met a black person, but they still have all these stereotypes about us and bywords and proverbs about black people. And where do they get these bywords and proverbs about black people? From media. Who's producing this media again? You see how this is all tying right back around to all the stuff that Kanye has been saying in there. All of it's tying back around. There's one I'm looking for in particular, but I do recommend you all read unto all these scriptures. And this one's going back into this one is tying back in with the children again. Deuteronomy 28:41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Did Ashkenazi's children go into slavery? That's what captivity is. And anytime the Israelites went into captivity, the shortest one, which they talk about in the Bible, is like 70 years. 70 years. I'm not sure what was the Holocaust like. At max, 10 or 11 years. That's not the same kind of captivity that they're talking about in biblical days. Deuteronomy 28:43 to the Native and Latino brothers who grew up here in this landmass of the Americas. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Here we go, a key one. Think about this one, everybody. Deuteronomy 28:44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. By what's happening to Kanye right now is showing you he ain't the head like he thought he was. He's the tail. Deuteronomy 28:45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee. So it doesn't matter which nation you go to. You're still going to run into this. How many times have black people decided, well, I'm going to move back to Africa. I'm going to move here. And they still run into these curses, still following them. And overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. Telling you again, it was a choice. You didn't listen, so this is what I'm going to do to you. It's the same thing as a parent saying, do your homework on bringing the belt out. You don't do your homework, what's going to happen? That belt is coming. And that is what has been happening to us for centuries. And if you go throughout the Bible, the Israelites continuously, oh yes, Lord, Lord, please save us, please save us, please save us. He saves us, and then what do? We start acting out again. Then he punishes us by sending us back into slavery over and over and over and over. See, Deuteronomy 28, this ain't just about American slavery. This is about all the captivities. This is about Assyria. This is about Babylon. This was about Egypt. This is all of these curses. This is about the Medo-Persian. This is about the Greeks. This is about the Romans. All of these captivities. This is what it's talking about if you don't hearken and listen. Well, not Egypt, because they freed from Egypt, and get what I'm saying. Where was it at? There we go. Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore shall thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. He shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck until he hath destroyed thee. You know how we're destroyed? Because now they don't even have to really attack us. They can put a message out there and get other black people to pull down Kanye. Instead of us closing ranks to protect him, even if he is wrong. Because you know what white people do a lot of times? They'll back and protect their people even when they know they're dead ass wrong. But we don't do that. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. Isn't that interesting? Almost every European nation uses a damn eagle as their symbol. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Deuteronomy 28:50, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. I'll leave it there on that one, but you guys need to go in and re-look at this stuff when it's talking about Deuteronomy 28, what it's talking about in there, because it's telling you who the Israelites are. And the Israelites would be experiencing these things still till this day. It's not like, oh, well, you know, at some point we experienced this. No, you wouldn't be sitting here as a nation, as a hegemony at the top. Esau and Jacob head and tail. Well, yeah, yep, exactly. Yep, exactly. He made a covenant with Abraham, but he never said you won't be punished. Told us we'd be punished. He said, you want me to put you on high above everybody else? Do what I tell you to do. You do what I tell you to do, I'm gonna take care of you. You don't do it, I'm going to punish you. It's you get one or the other. Either you're getting a reward or you're getting punishment. There's no middle. Just like when he talks about, I would prefer you be hot or cold, not lukewarm, or I'll spew you out of my mouth. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to share. Stop screen on that, and let's put up that video that I had. This one I know I can show without worrying about some kind of copyright strike. I am not deleting anyone. Sorry, must be a glitch or something. Not wanting us to talk about this. It's like maybe I need to check to see if the live is still up. Is the live still up? Let me know. In fact, I'm logging on right now so I could double check. We need a one-on-one, Marcus. You want it, bro? Oh yeah, man. I don't know what's the best way to communicate with you. Let me know, and then we can reach out and anything you want to talk about. I'm definitely here for you. Let me see live. Unless they've already dropped my live stream. Okay, turn the volume down. Let's see. Okay, it looked like I'm still up. Yeah, it looks like I'm still up. So I think that's good. Let's click on this screen. This is the video for who, I don't know why I froze it like that.
Hebrew Public.
So for those who were in the stream Saturday night with from the Political Matrix, this is the video, and I had the sound off. I wanted to go into some things here.
Energetics with Marcus Cage. I'm your host, Marcus Cage. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Father above, Yahweh. In this episode, I want to do something a little bit different. I was hearing something about Ashkenazi Jews, and I thought, where I grew up, I didn't really know very many people who consider themselves Ashkenazi Jewish, so I didn't know a whole lot about the community. And then a friend was telling me, he was like, yeah, a lot of your favorite movies and TV, you'd be surprised, they're by a lot of prominent Ashkenazi Jewish people. So,
and I wanted to play that part right there so it can show you, even at that time, some of this information was new to me, because and it's funny to me when I'll hear some Jewish people say, well, that's a trope and this is a trope. Like, do you realize most of the country did not grow up around Jewish people? Most of the country didn't. It's so, I mean, to me, it's almost like a certain level of like, I don't even know what it is. It's like you'll say certain things when you just start learning something, and they just assume, oh, that's an anti-Semitic trope. It's like, what? What are you even talking about? We don't know what your tropes are and stuff. Heard one, they were saying something about big ears, and I think it was like Jon Stewart, and they were saying, I don't know if it was Jon Stewart or it was something I know that he was covering at least, but he was talking about how Harry Potter, or somebody was talking about how Harry Potter was anti-Semitic because the dwarves were this and the door. I'm like, dude, do you really think everybody knows whatever your stereotypes are? I mean, most of us don't. We really don't. growing up where I grew up in the Midwest, Jewish people aren't even a thought. It's no negative feeling, no positive feeling. It just not, it does not come up where I grew up. Now, I do know not that far away in Chicago, well, Chicago's about maybe 6 hours away. There's a much heavier Jewish population there. But in Kansas City, I didn't, as far as I knew of, I couldn't name anybody that I grew up that was Jewish. Not one. And so it didn't come to me as some kind of, oh, you just hate the Jews. I don't fucking know the Jews. I don't know anything about Jewish people. Well, at least I didn't think I knew anything about Jewish people until I started realizing I was a comic book head, and literally Stan Lee, who created most of my favorite comics, is Jewish. I had no clue. To me, he's just a white guy. To me, I notice no difference. So especially when I hear Jewish people say, well, we're not white. And I'm like, huh? Well, how do I determine that? Because to me, you don't look at all any different. Now, if you tell me you're this, okay, cool, we'll ride with that. But you can't get mad at me because you didn't tell me you were Jewish and you just look like a white person. But I've heard some Jewish people say, oh, no, I can tell. Well, maybe you're the one that's doing the damn stereotyping then. Mr. Street says, years of deception. People are waking up finally. Thank God. Yeah, all praises to Yahweh. It's lonely being woke for years in the matrix. And you guys want to know, I think I've talked about it before. Let me drop this down real quick. I've talked about before how I came into the light of things. Believe it or not, when I was like in the political world, which you guys know I still am to a degree. I covered and all that. I don't put a lot of stock in it though. Um, I could understand many things that were going on and why they would keep happening. I knew politics inside and out. I did the whole protesting thing, you know, Occupy Wall Street, all of those different things like that. But I never understood why certain things, no matter what, seemed like they were never improving or never getting better. And the second time when Bernie ran, it was more like a Hail Mary. I was already getting disillusioned with the system. And I was like, well, maybe if he can just get in there and do one or two things, maybe that can help. And then when I saw how he went out, I'm like, that was sketchy as fuck, bro. Nah, that don't even make no fucking sense. Don't play this game with me. You fucking literally, you sandbag this shit. So why did you do it? Then when I started looking for answers were given. And first thing I started noticing was, and some brothers get stuck at that level and they don't make it all the way up out of the cave. They get stuck at the conspiracy theory level. And we can start looking at the Illuminati and things like that and start actually, because I heard it all when I was growing up. Different people in the hood had all these Illuminati theories. They are never saying Jewish. They just said Illuminati and elites, and the elites are controlling, you know, in the music industry and the this and the that. And so I heard all that stuff, and I ignored all that stuff. I even remember when I first heard about Hebrew Israelites like 15 years ago. I heard about them on like Vice News, and they basically branded them as a black extremist group. But they never ever said what their message was. I just saw black people dressed in funky different clothing. And then later on, I heard them just yelling at people on the street corners. Never got to hear what the message was. But when I started looking into the elites and started looking into things which I knew about ancient history and all that, and how different things didn't add up, and I started digging deeper, and I start running across people like Professor Griff and, you know, Khalid Muhammad, and, you know, start hearing some of these videos, especially of powerful speakers within the Nation of Islam. That's when it things start clicking. And then I started to understand what the belief system of a lot of these people who were these elites, and it wasn't just random white men anymore. I started looking into things. And that's when I started understanding the power of Zionism. And so I realized if these people are doing all this wicked and evil stuff, and not every single one of them, of course, people like Lex Friedman, not every single one, but it sure is a fucking lot of them. And if you don't want to acknowledge that, you are you're part of this deception. You're just a soft face of it. No different than a Ben Shapiro, no different than Coonan ass Jesse Lee Peters or Peterson, whatever. No damn different. You're a liar. Revelations 2:9 tells us that you lie. But we can go into that on another one. I don't want to pile too much in together. Vicky says, right, Marcus, remember how we were so shocked what happened with Bernie? We couldn't connect it all. Oh, I couldn't connect it. I did video on my other channel, like the speech Bernie should have did, and why didn't he do this? Why didn't he attack that? And why did he let this go? Yeah, hate preaching is not our creator's characteristics. You're right to disagree with it. Exactly. I mean, it was a lot of stuff that just wasn't clicking. It was a lot of things which I was seeing when I started looking at like how people want population control and how easily it could be with the money in the world to be able to solve a lot of the world's problems, but people allow these problems to persist out of either, if it's some people saying they're ignorant, just flat out greed, or there's motivations behind it. Then I had brothers start breaking down things for me in the Bible. And I started going to scriptures, which either I just read straight over and reading the Bible like it's a novel instead of understanding precept must be upon precept. Here a little, there a little. Christians don't read the Bible like that. They don't understand that other parts of the Bible explain the Bible. They think that I just read this one part, so here was all the context there. When it says certain stuff like, yeah, like I told my people in Hosea, which that's going back to Hosea, which means you need to go back and read what they were talking about in Hosea to understand what they're talking about right here. But Christianity teaches us all the Old Testament, that's over with. You read the New Testament and you pay attention to that message only. But when you start understanding that they're not quoting new things in the New Testament, they're paraphrasing. It's like if I told all you guys something, we all had an inside joke. And I'm like, oh yeah, like that thing I said on last show. And you guys all know what I'm talking about. It's the same damn thing. That's how you know, honestly, when you're starting to do a good message or doing better, when you start getting spammers in here. But yeah, that's right. I was going to put this up, but that's how I kind of got into the truth. I saw the first video I saw that really got me in. I think it was like a truth unedited, and I was kind of, all right, I don't know. Then I heard, what was his name? Pastor Omar Thibodeau from, what was it? Was it School of Hebrews or something like that? And then I saw a brother from IUIC Tallahassee. I believe he's rose it up to captain right now. I don't remember his name correctly, so I don't want to say his name wrong. But when that brother started breaking down stuff for me and it started clicking. And the things I didn't agree with, I went back and tried to debunk it. Everything they were saying, I tried to debunk it and try to look at it with a clear-eyed, unbiased approach. Because what a lot of people don't think about is almost every Hebrew Israelite that you run into was either grew up in Christianity or Islam. Majority of us. I'm not saying all, but majority of us grew up in the church. So when we hear people in the church tell us, well, you don't understand what this, no. Everything you're saying, I used to say. Everything. So you're not telling me something that I don't know. But here's the thing, the difference between us and those people in the church. They don't question what doesn't add up. And what doesn't add up, they ignore it. I believe the whole Bible has to flow in harmony and unison. And if it does not, it's something wrong in your understanding. But here, let me put on this crap. I didn't mean to stop it. Let me put that video back up. In this video, I decided that I want to just compile a video, just so you know, you might have a different impression in your head of what you think the Jewish first commissioner there. There's another basketball NBA commissioner. Here's the current one right now. Not one. Let me back that one up. Now, this article, Jonathan Nason Kazi, is a Jewish gentleman. This is news, Israel News. Why are so many pro basketball owners Jewish? Literally telling you that a bunch of Jewish owners. It will be hard to find Jews on the court in the NBA playoffs, but toss a basketball in the NBA owners meeting and you'll probably hit one. Letting you know that if there's a Jewish owner, it's safe to say he might have control over his own team, right? Meaning if there's a whole lot who control teams, and like I just showed you, the current commissioner and the last commissioner and the very first commissioner, because there's only been 5, so 3 out of 5 that I can confirm have been Jewish. Does that not show you that they obviously would have power over NBA athletes and control? The same thing which Kanye is talking about. If you sit there and you lay these things out and you start showing them, then people like the Michael Rappaports out there who say the dumbass shit that they say while they spent their whole life in public eyes sitting there being a culture vulture of black culture, comes out and says stuff like what he's talking about on his dumbass new show. You can see the evidence. It's not hard to see this. Either you're a fucking liar, which you are, or it is what it is. But I guess they would prefer to lie and everybody look at them like they're ridiculous and just try to arm twist everybody into just, I can't see what's directly right in front of me. I can probably put a little speed on this. Let's speed this up a little. At least a little. Statistically, this does not add up. The only way this makes sense is harmonious. But you know what? Let me skip ahead because this is sports right now. And as you guys can see as I'm scrolling through, you're seeing all these different sports. Let's go to Kanye's industry because he says the music industry. And people like plenty of these people, why do you have to keep saying Jewish people? Let's go here. Oh, you see that? All of these companies are Jewish owned and predominantly Jewish people throughout the higher ups of the staff. So you cannot sit there and try to tell me that they do not have control in this industry. Hey, if my people had this kind of power, I would be freaking proud of it. And I wouldn't even, hey, it is what it is. We got the power, so what? But don't sit here and try to lie to people like we can't easily look this fucking information up. Sound, but you come on. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Are you guys not seeing what I'm seeing? 2% of the population in literally almost all the industries that we're showing, they're literally sitting at the tops. I mean, literally, and people are going to sit there. How come you just can't say businessman? Really? This entertainment, but you know what? Everybody knows about the entertainment industry, right? Let me go to an industry which is often not even focused on. Oh yeah, let's back that one up because we talked about her. Hey, who is this? YouTube. Oracle, Facebook, and Mark Zuckerberg's there also. Are we going to sit there and try to pretend the people who are the head of companies and CEOs don't have control? That what we're trying to say here? That is anti-Semitic to say that the people who are in control of a business, who happen to be these certain groups, don't have control over their business and do not literally control the voices of anybody who decides to be on their platforms. This is the argument we're going with here. I mean, come on. And it's funny. Let me go back to the Schultz real quick. You guys see that with Schultz here? Let's see, where was that at? Right here. You guys know what this is back here? A mermaid. This goes back to Dogon, which was a fish god. Literally putting paganism right there in the front of his business. Yeah, print media also. So I say go through this one good, but let me skip through to where I really want to show you guys. I'll back that up a little. Politics. This is what I want to show you right here, because this is where a lot of political power really comes into play. Politics. Says it's weird that only Jew hasn't canceled Kanye yet is Drake. Oh, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Old Testament history, it has a lot of prophecy towards the New Testament. Well, there's a lot of prophecies that have not been fulfilled. And there's a lot of prophecies that have not even been fulfilled in the Old Testament, so-called Old Testament. It says, I'm blinded by the light. That should be the remix to it. Is it weird that only? Oh yeah, I just read that. Remember, Magic Johnson had repeated had AIDS. Well, remember the comments that whatchamacallit was making about HIV having about Magic Johnson having HIV. Vicky said they are saying that even if it's true, and exactly they're saying even if it's true, because well, even if it might be true, but because Hitler decided to come after us for this, you guys can't even say it if it's even if it's actually true. Actually, here's the thing: they just say there's no control. We don't know what you're talking about. They're just businessmen. They're all individuals. This is the narrative that keeps getting played. This is the game that keeps getting played. I mean, and just like I've talked about the anti-Semitism, which I'll bring that one up again. I'll show it. I had someone tell me that it's just because Jewish people are better business. Bullshit. Chase Bank that actually got his money out of slavery. Well, here I got another. I got a video on that too. I mean, a lot of these people don't want to acknowledge how much of their money came from the slave trades either. That's another fact that gets left out. Oh well, Jews, they only had a very very small hand in slavery. Maybe a small hand in percentage of how, or in not percentage, in actual literal numbers, hard numbers of how many that they owned and kept. But that's not factoring in how many that might have been sold through their hands. That's not factored in. And for instance, if there's 10 people and there's 1,000 other people, and you're like, well, of course, these 1,000 people had all of these. Okay, but per capita and percentage wise, how much out of that 10 owned? When you start doing those numbers, you start looking at it like, whoa, wait a minute. There might have been far less of you guys, but a lot more of you guys had more power than you guys are letting on, and how a lot more of you guys had slaves than letting going on. But what you're doing is you're trying to use it by literal number because you know that your numbers are smaller. So you're like, well, see, we didn't have that much of an impact. No, BS. And it'll get me fired up. But I got a lot in there. A couple other videos. Gotta run, love the show. Take care. Yeah. Send me Mr. Street, send me your email real quick, and then I'll reach out to you. That way we can talk. Yeah, I only got a little bit more, but I wanted to show this last little bit about politics in here. Or politics. Got the Jon Stewarts here. Arlen Specter, senator. Got a governor back in the 70s of Pennsylvania. Attorney General of Delaware. Oh, the Federal, not the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve. Governor of Vermont. Got another lieutenant governor in Nebraska. Lieutenant governor in Missouri. Got a governor of Rhode Island. What does that say? Lieutenant governor of Ohio. Governor of Rhode Island. U.S. senator. Another governor of Illinois. I'm not sure. I don't remember what he was. I think he was chief of staff or something. He actually opened up Lehman Brothers, I believe. Supreme Court. I mean, lieutenant governor. I mean, I'm telling you, just go through this list. Just go through the list. The 9th governor of Washington. So this is governors all the way back into the 1800s during slavery. You're telling me that these dudes didn't have slaves? So let me drop down one other video that I think you all should go and check out. And back out of this one real quick. But when these dudes try to sit there, I don't know what you're doing, try to play dumb, like I don't know why you would say that stuff, and that's just anti-Semitic. And dude, Let's not play these games. We can all be adult and admit what happened. If white people got to be dragged for what they did during slavery, why do you get to get off the hook? Here it is, the video I want you all to check out. Jewish involvement in transatlantic slavery. It's a video I recommend you guys to check out. And this one, White Blessing, European involvement in transatlantic slavery. And then if you guys want a deeper breakdown on Deuteronomy 28, which I was going into, got that one there from about 6 months ago, which I did. Mr. Streets, great to interact with you tonight. You can't say we run the game because it'll lead to another. Yeah. And I mean, if I was on Rockfin, I would go in depth on more of that stuff as far as that time period. That's all I'll say. I'm not Kanye. I can't get away with saying as much as he can to have this. I mean, I watched Sergeant Yatab from Sakari like lay out, I mean, just so much evidence. So much evidence. Trying to remember if I had what I think I might have had a little bit more messages that I sent. What else did I send to myself? New Yorker. Oh. Palestinian. Oh yeah, so many. Oh that. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I can't get rid of that quite yet. Let's see. Why can I not click on this? Really? So they're not even letting me open up stuff that I sent to myself. Okay, that's interesting. So I can't even open the videos I sent to myself. Well, let me try to find at least one of them, look up the title and read, or just look it up and read a little bit of it. Yeah. In which, like, I talked to Sergeant Yatab, and of course they yanked this video down, which it's possibility they might yank this one down also. If they do, we'll more than likely just upload it somewhere else. That's the article I want. So let's stop. Oh, of course, it would start playing these games. I see Atris is in the building. What's up, my brother? Weaponizing anti-Semitism is bad for Jews, Israel, and peace. I won't go in and read any, much of this article, but it goes into talking about how when they improperly scream out anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism, it actually is harder on Jewish people because it hardens the opposition. Because when you start telling them that it does not exist, when it's clear that it exists, certain things, then you make people start growing and building a hatred. I'm not saying I do. I'm not saying I encourage anybody to, but it does make people start to delegitimize what you're saying when you are clearly lying about something. Oh, that was the last thing I wanted to pull up. When everybody, even the whole term anti-Semitism. What was it? Let me see if I have a chart I can pull up. Oh no, that's not the one. Now let's pull any random one up. Okay. So let me skip over to that page because it didn't follow me over there. Stop sharing and open it back up. And I swear, everybody, this is going to be the last thing I'll do before I hop out of here. All right. So this right here is Noah. In order for you to, I feel like if you don't believe in the Bible, to even use the term anti-Semitic is kind of dumb because you'd have to believe there was a man named Noah and had three sons, and one of them name was Shem. If you don't believe that, then the term is hollow in itself because that means that you don't believe the Bible. That means these people aren't Shemites. That means there's no such thing as a Shemite because Shem comes from an actual person starting a lineage. So you just can't craft it into what you want it to be. So Noah had his three sons. The oldest, Japheth. Now, I don't necessarily agree with exactly how they say all of this stuff. This would be technically their land masses. Japheth's land would be Europe. Ham's land would be Africa. Shem, it's not necessarily Asia. It would be a mixture of Africa and Asia. That's the reason why they call Shemites Afro-Asiatic. I don't know what this is about. That doesn't make any sense. Actually, let me see if I probably could back up and find a better map. Well, this one will do for the time being. Let's see if can we click on any. Okay, there we go. So Noah, boom, Shem is going to this line. So Shem begot Arphaxad, begot Salah, begot Eber, which Eber is etymologically going back to Hebrew, Eber, Peleg. Peleg, that's the time when it talks about that the whole world was separated. Ru, Sarug, Nahor, Terah. And then from Terah, then he has a son, he has three sons, Nahor, Haram, Abraham. Abraham right here, that should sound familiar with him. Father Abraham had many sons. Okay, for those who went to church, you guys will know what I'm talking about. Haran, Lot. I don't know if you guys heard about Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot, his two daughters laid with him, which begat Moab and Ammon, which are the Moabites and Ammonites. That we'll bring that up on another lesson another time. So let's click on Abram, which name became Abraham. And I guess it doesn't let me go down anymore. But so we see this, right? Shem going down to Abraham or Abraham. Let's back out of this one and find a better one that goes further down the chart because that kind of cuts off and doesn't give the full or that's what I can do. Let's see. Abraham's family tree chart. Let's see what that one looks like. There we go. That's what I want. That one will work. Actually, no, it's not the one. Is that the one? That's only going down through. Okay, yeah, I guess I can pull that one up. That might work. But what I'm trying to show you all, let's click on that visit. And then drop this screen down so we can come back into this one and show you what I'm talking about. Says why they say everything is anti Shem, but they never say it's anti. That's probably what they should. That would be, and that would be more etymologically correct. Um, because you're talking specifically only about the people you are talking about, which you believe are Jews or Jewish. You believe only these people, so you're only talking about those people. All right, now Abraham. So you have Keturah, and through them, Simran, Jokshan, Medai, Ishbak, Shua. These all became nations. Ishmael, this is another nation, and broke down into different nations up under Ishmael. Over here, let me go back up a little bit. I don't know why they have it in weird funky part. Okay, but Sarah, from his so he has Ishmael, Sarah. He had all these kids over here also. Then Ishmael had all of these kids. Isaac has two sons, Isaac and Jacob. Jacob has his four wives, Zilpah, Leah, Rachel, and Bilhah. They have 12 sons. Manasseh, Ephraim, which they fall up under Joseph. Well, Manasseh and Ephraim would be like basically grandkids. But you have Gad, Asher, which are from Zilpah. You have Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, which that's where Jew comes from. Jew comes from Judah, the land, the southern territory after it split from it just being all one nation, where you had Israel and you had Judea, which that's what you hear about in the New Testament when they're talking about 70 AD and Judea being destroyed. That's what they're talking about. Issachar, Zebulon. Then you have, and Dinah, their sister. Then you have Rachel, who had Benjamin and Joseph, and then Joseph's two sons from his wife, Asenath, had Manasseh and Ephraim. And then out of Bilhah, you had Dan and Naphtali. Or as you hear names like Naphtali Bennett, that's where those kind of names come from. And so it's showing you within here, Terah, he would have been Shemitic. All of these people, Laban, he's not an Israelite. He wouldn't have been considered Jewish, but he still would be. I believe he Laban would have been a Syrian, I believe. So when it starts going into all these different people, Esau is not an Israelite and technically would not be considered a Jew or Jewish, but Esau is still Shemitic. Ishmael is Shemitic. So that's my point. When they say anti-Semitic, they're taking something which has an actual meaning, which has a definition, and redefining it into something else. Or remember we talked about Lot? You had Lot's children, Moab and Ammon, which became the Moabites and the Ammonites. You have the Israelites, you have the Edomites, you have Ishmaelites, Midianites. This is where all these different nations start coming from. And so I could go into more that it's not even showing on here, but this is the point I was trying to get to. That when they use the term, they use it completely incorrectly any damn way. And then when you call them on it, they're like, well, but in 1948, since we were the only Shemitic people, we decided to make it only about us. No, Esau is not Jesus. No, Esau definitely not Jesus. Esau goes into the Edomites, which are literally God's enemy. It says that Jacob and Esau will wrestle. I mean, Second Ezra 6:9 talks about how Esau will basically be the end of the world and Jacob is the world that follows. So it says in the last days, Esau will be the nation which is in power, in control, in charge. Will have the hegemony. And Jacob is the world which is coming after, which Christ is a descendant of Jacob instead of Esau. And so what you would have is down as you go down through the generations, then you have he would be a descendant of Joseph, which Joseph is a descendant of Jesse, going all the way back up through Solomon to King David, and you hear what I'm saying, and then all the way back to Judah. So Judah is the nephew of Esau. So Esau dies actually many generations before Christ is on the scene. Well, physically on the scene. We do believe his incarnation started in heaven. And then he came down into a body. But, that's for another conversation. I guess we can leave it there. And so glad for everybody who tuned in. Hopefully, this has been edifying, what I've been able to bring out. And hopefully you guys can just see through the nonsense and BS. I mean, it says that Satan only has a short time left. And so they're going to be doing a lot of different stuff. Marcus, did you see the banner over 405 saying Kanye is right, media went wild? Yeah. I saw the, well, I didn't physically see it, but I saw some people on Twitter like freaking all out talking about how this is only going to make anti-Semitism worse. And I noticed that the ADL not only counts actual like violence as anti-Semitism, they count every time somebody is called slurs and things like that also. So when they'll say anti-Semitism is on the rise, they're counting in a different way than most other people count hate crimes. So like if you were part of the LGBTQ community, if you weren't getting physically like beat up and assaulted and charges were put on you for breaking the law for some kind of crime, then nothing would even have, well, in the United States. I do know in Canada, if you misgender somebody, you can literally get a fine for that and possibly go to jail. So different countries have different laws, but in the United States, if you're Jewish, if somebody says something to you the wrong way, that can be counted as a hate crime. Whereas if you are Black, Asian, Native American, Latino, LGBTQ, who else out there that I'm possibly forgetting? If you're anything else, typically violence has to have been done to you for that to be count as some kind of as a hate crime. So yeah, I guess I will leave it there. Thank you all so much for being in. I'm going to finish off with Kahala Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Giving honor and glory to our Heavenly Father and Messiah. Southern Poverty Law Center going hard against Black Israelites, labeling us as hate group. Yes, they've been doing that for a while. In fact, some of my top teachers are literally on the list by name. So yeah, I will leave it there. I got to hop off here. And hopefully y'all learned something. On the recast, I'm looking forward to probably getting some people who probably didn't agree with some of the stuff I said, and if they would like to have a debate with me, put it in the comment section, and you can come on the show and talk about it with me. That said, we're going to close out. Hopefully y'all have a wonderful night and the rest of your week. I got a couple of videos that I got backlogged up coming out. And I do still got a sit down that I want to have with a brother from Nation of Islam. And we're going to talk about a couple of things. hopefully have a very edifying discussion, and bring out some things and build some unity, hopefully. So that's it, y'all. Have a good night. And I want to end out to the Yasharala to, hopefully we just all start trying to work harder and harder, bringing each other closer and closer to the truth, trying to seal the hopeful elect. And I'm end with Kwam Yasharala.